So if we start off with predictive AI, you've already seen our specific tools here, model validation, but just thinking about driverless AI, we can go and train a new experiment and yes, have our kind of default settings here, but also go into expert settings. And there's a large number of expert settings that you can make to conform to whatever regulations you might have to follow. But some that we've built into the platform. So, for example, the entire pipeline building recipe, you can see there's some options here that are relevant, compliant, and monotonic GBM. And if we kind of zoom out and say, well, what exactly does that mean? You know, the compliant pipeline is very simple models, interpretability to 10, linear models in this case, right? So this is typically what we see for a lot of regulated industries. And then additionally, monotonic GBM has the added component where there's constraints on monotonicity for the model, for example. So there's a lot of kind of tweaking you can do in the expert settings. And then also maybe on the actual experiments themselves, you can get a very, very deep view of model performance and interpretability from the experiment page here. But also from a customization perspective, if we go back here and we click on Download AutoDoc, every experiment comes with an automatic documentation, and this is very customizable, right? So a lot of our banking customers and regulated industries, customers in regulated industries want to customize this quite a bit to meet their model risk management requirements, right? So all of that's possible. Now, if we just hop over to generative AI really quickly, let me quickly show that if I go out here and create a new collection, you can also, at the collection level, add guardrails. So this is going to basically prevent these concepts from being presented to the user, right? This is mostly associated with what's coming out of the LLM. This is editable. You can also bring your own guardrail models if you'd like. We also support PII redaction, right? So identification and redaction of PII. So we've got a few levels here, Presidio, PII labels themselves, and you can also have a regex. So if you want to add your own kind of regex, and you can do that as well. We also have prompt templates, right? So we have a specific system prompt or prompt template you'd like to use. We have a prompt template catalog. There's also like a very transparent breakdown of model accuracy and performance. You can run the self-test here within the platform to kind of get this sort of updated feedback on demand, right? So we have things speed, latency, cost and accuracy, outputs, context length. You get a nice kind of visual representation. If you're interested in agentic accuracy, for example, you can get a better view on which models are performing well. You also get a nice understanding of who's using what, right? So you can limit some of the costs that are associated with some of these models. Also on the eval side, let me just show one other thing real quick. This is an example of that redacted functionality. So this is a household utility bill. And as you can see here, I had PII redaction on it, automatically redacted this sort of information before it hit the database. Let me also show inline evals. So when you're asking a question and you're doing your classic kind of RAG setup, you can also go here and say, hey, let's do an inline eval. I really understand how this one response is coming back. So at a sentence level, we can get an understanding, in this case, of fairness and bias, which is the evaluator that I picked. You can also get a pretty deep understanding of the results, very specific results that came back from the retrieval component. You also get traceability on the usage stats, so exactly which model was used for which piece, what was the response time, retrieval time, right? And of course, fully reproducible Python code for every kind of chat you do here, right? Whether it be the UI or the API. And then finally, on the eval side, we have an entire suite of tools here. So within the platform, you can get a high-level view of an evaluation you might have done. Maybe you pick 3 ways to evaluate success, and then as you scroll through here, you can see which models performed well, which ones didn't. For more details, you can go here and get a summary, right? So this is kind of breaking down the same sort of output, but also showing you which prompts were failing and why, and which models were failing and why. And just to kind of break down how this works, you can kind of create my new eval. We'll say this is going to be a RAG eval as opposed to LLM only. We're going to do the bank teller exam. So this is a use case specific test that we want to understand a little bit more about. We'll pick a few models to evaluate. And then we might pick a collection that we already have, maybe utility bills redacted. And then last but not least, Again, these are the evaluators. This is kind of really important to think through exactly how you want to measure success, but this is the mathematical way to kind of measure success, those passes and failures that we saw in leaderboard. Thank you so much.